If it's Wednesday, it's Wellness Wednesday. As we start this new year, wellness top of mind for a lot of folks. If you set a goal to become healthier, remember, give yourself a little grace during the process. Psychotherapist and author Niro Feliciano is here to tell us a little bit more about why grace and giving ourselves grace is so important. Happy Wellness Wednesday.
Happy Wellness Wednesday New Year.
So let's talk about grace, because I do think that a lot of folks right now, they've made the resolutions, they're doing their best, they've turned over this new leaf. And if they fall short, they can be pretty hard on themselves. How do you go about giving yourself that grace?
Well, let me ask you, are you both good at giving yourself grace?
No.
I think it depends on the time.
Yes. Yeah. Or grace over what sometimes?
Well, if we're talking about New Year, usually grace is not part of the equation.
No.
It's usually an all or nothing behavior change. Every year I have a client comes in and they're like, I'm going to go to the gym 6 days a week. And I look at them and be like, sir, you haven't taken a walk in 2 years. But like,
Wow.
okay. So what I say is if you're going to make resolutions, intentions are great. Add the clause whenever possible to the end, or as much as possible, because that makes room for grace in our human behavior. And you'll find that you'll get farther and have wins to celebrate than if you went an all or nothing perfectionist approach.
Well, what about, because it seems like for a lot of us, or maybe I'm speaking just for myself, I tend, it's all about me, usually. But when it comes to giving grace, it seems easier to impart that to others than to yourself.
It is true. And part of that is because we have internalized expectations for ourselves. And some of them are unrealistic. And for many of us, we're walking around with what I say is an inherited critic. It is this voice that is telling us, maybe from our culture or someone in our past that was critical, we need to be more and do more. And what that leads to is a monologue of these should statements. And according to founding father of psychologists, Albert Ellis, says we need to stop shoulding on ourselves.
Oh, please make sure you pronounce that correctly.
Shoulding on ourselves.
Shoulding.
And to the should statements, right. And how we do that is shift perspective. So think about someone you love. If they were having a hard time, maybe taking a break or taking some things off their plate, what would you say to them? You know, you always have the words for them, but not for ourselves. Oftentimes what we say to ourselves is quite cruel and critical. And I had written in my book what I said to my patients. If you talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself, no one would hang out with you.
That's true.
Right? So, and even things like saying no. Is a gift of grace you give yourself that frees up your time and energy. It's a gift that you give the people closest to you to say yes then to things that are more important.
A big part, it would seem, a big part of giving ourselves grace is how we handle our mistakes. Talk a little bit about that, about this approach to self-forgiveness.
It is very normal to ruminate and perseverate on mistakes. But what we have to realize is making mistakes is normal. We have all messed up our kids in some way, especially therapists.
Every day.
We've hurt our partners. We've missed opportunities. And what I like to say is that guilt is not all bad. Actually, it is a powerful motivator of behavioral change. If we look back and think, what do I want to do better? What do I not want to repeat? But what we have to differentiate is guilt versus shame. Guilt says that was a bad event or a bad moment. Shame says I'm a bad person. And what we have to realize is a mistake is an event. It is not an identity. We don't have to live like it is one.
So how do we get to giving ourselves more self-compassion, to be actually kinder to ourselves? Because it's got to be a process that, as you've said, we're so used to not doing.
Yeah, so there are over 3,000 studies on self-compassion that talk about how it builds resilience, better mental health, even stronger work outcomes. But what I've noticed with clients is it gets us unstuck emotionally. One thing I like to say is when you go to bed at night, look at all the things, normally what we do, go to bed at night. What do we have to do the next day? What did we not do? What about change that lens to what did we accomplish? For some, getting out of bed, getting dressed is an accomplishment. Celebrate that win. You parented through a hard situation, celebrate that win. And I find the best thing to do when you're focused on yourself, when you're ruminating, when you're stuck in guilt, serve. Automatic purpose. It gets ourselves out of the situation. And guess what? Our purpose isn't just all about ourselves. You know, we can change the environment around us. Compliment a stranger. You know, do a puzzle with a teenager. When you can change the energy around you, you change the energy within you.
I love this so much, Niro. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For more motivation and encouragement, you don't just have to wait until Wednesdays. No. You can download our Start Today app to make your wellness goals a reality. To download and learn more about our special subscription offer, just scan the QR code that is on your screen. You can also head to the App Store on your Apple device right now as well.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.